Hey everyone, my name is Chloe and today I'm here to do my weekly wrap up. So this week has been a big week of reading, and partially because there's some really short stuff, also just because I have really been in the mood, and I've kind of been taunted, whatever word, by my TBR, especially my audiobook TBR, and so I've really just been reading and listening as much as possible. So let's get into the books because we have 10 middle grade and 7 adult to talk about from the past week. So let's just go ahead and get started. So we have these first two are Anne Arrives and Anne's Kindred Spirits. So these, I didn't even know, I don't know where I came across these actually, but these are by, let's see, who are they by? Of course, the sticker's covering the author both times. It's like Kelly George. I'll have it linked down below. But these are picture books / chapter books telling the Anne of Green Gables story. So it is so cute. Like, they're little chapters, but you can read them in 5 or 10 minutes. And I thought this would be such a fun way to introduce my daughter to the story of Anne of Green Gables. And so this is about Anne arriving, obviously. And this is about her making her friends. And so this is just, it is so sweet. My daughter started them and wasn't super interested, which kind of breaks my heart, but we'll see. I'm going to put them back on her shelf and see if she is interested and go from there. Then another one that, I didn't realize, actually I just dropped it, so hold on. I didn't realize, I thought all Shel Silverstein was poetry, but this one is not. The Giving Tree, I recently hauled it. It's a story about this little boy and a tree that he loves, and the tree gives everything to this little boy. It was just so sweet, but obviously it's just it's a picture book. A lot of them have very few words, but it's a really sweet story, so I'll put it in our picture book collection. Then we have Anna Hibiscus. I've talked about her and I love her. This is number 3 and 4. We have Have Fun, Good Luck and Have Fun. Good Luck is number 3, Have Fun is number 4. Each one has 4 different stories, and there are not every page has pictures, but a lot of them do. And so we read these in a day or two, and they're so good. So Anna Hibiscus is a little girl who lives in Africa, and she lives with her entire family, her grandma, her grandpa, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everybody lives in one communal home, and that's how the culture is there, And so in this first one, in Good Luck, she is preparing to go to Canada because her mother's from Canada. So her mom's mom is still in Canada, and Anna Hibiscus really just wants to see snow. But before we get there, we talk about the dry season, and she's so sad to see her garden go because they have a beautiful garden. And so she's so sad to see it go, but she learns about the dry season and what really matters during that time. Let's see, there's also her trying to get clothes for Canada because it's cold in Canada. It's obviously not in Africa. There's also a story of this bird, Coco. He is a parrot that lives around their property, and her little brothers are obsessed with him. And so she kind of gets blamed for something they do. And so there's that story. And then the last one is her feeling left out because her entire family is keeping secrets from her. And so a lot of that. So it's like real, relatable, everyday kid stuff, but put in an African culture that things are very different, and I love it so much. And then also we have Fun, Anna Hibiscus. So in this one, the 4 stories, one, she is leaving to Canada, and then in the middle 2, she makes friends with some Canadian kids, and they make fun of her because she's not good at skating, things are very different. Also, her grandfather in Africa had warned her about dogs, and because in Africa, in the African culture, dogs are not domesticated. Dogs are dirty, dogs are disease carrying, all that. And her grandmother has a dog in Canada. And so she's, it's culture shock. She's scared. And then she's just coming to a different culture, and she's learning a lot about it. And it was really fun for my kids to see a culture more similar to ours and how Anna kind of assimilated or didn't. And then in the last one, she is going home. So this book is so good. This series is so good. Yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I think there's maybe 6 of them. I hope. I wish there would be more because this is so good. Then we have Mallory on the Move, and this is by Lori Friedman, and this is about a little girl named Mallory. This is a long-running series. And so I wanted to read the first one in order to see if I could pass it on to my daughter, because when I find good series that then has 10 or 12 books or whatever, it gives me a moment to like breathe and not have to pre-read so much. Unfortunately, this one's not it. So this one is about a girl named Mallory who has to move. And she's leaving her best friends and all of that. And she promises her best friend she won't make friends with a boy. Now, next door is a brother and sister. And the sister is really snotty, really mean. And so she kind of makes friends with the brother. And then her best friend comes to town. So she's kind of navigating new friendships, old friendships. The kids in this book are just snotty. And I don't need any help with having snotty kids. Like, we kind of have some of that going on our own. We don't need books like this that kind of reiterate it. So gonna take this one back. Then we have Animal Rescue Friends. This is a graphic novel series that I've read a couple of, and this one I didn't like at all because it's short stories. There's tons of different authors, and it's short stories about one kid and the animal that they are having an experience with, and they're so short that I just didn't care. So I'll pass this on to my daughter and see if she cares any more than I did, but for me it was a pass. Then this one we actually DNF'd for soft DNF, and it's just a DNF for now. So Case for Christ for Kids by Lee Strobel. This is, so if you are familiar with Case for Christ, it's all, it was written as an adult series first, and now Lee Strobel has made kids versions, and this is, I think, going to be really fun, but it's more appropriate for like long, deep conversations, and when the times when we read it are more like settling down times. And my 4-year-old was very like, this is very over her head, and so she was just being obnoxious during it. This didn't hold her attention at all. It would be something decent to go over with my 6-year-old, but I think I'm just going to wait until at least 2 of my kids can participate, because basically this is just saying, you know, all these arguments against Christ, and kind of saying why those arguments aren't valid, and so and really prompting the kids to think for themselves and think, like, what do you think, you know? And so I really like this. It's just definitely gonna be something we save for later. Then we have Cody Harmon, King of Pets. This is the last in the Franklin School Friends. This series is another one that we really love. This is about the school is having a like animal pet show kind of thing for a fundraiser for the Humane Society or whatever. And Cody lives on a farm. And Cody, historically through the series, he's not good at really anything. He's good at running, and he has a lot of pets. Because he lives on a farm, he has 9 different pets. He's got dogs, he's got roosters, he's got a pig, he's got cats, he's got all these different things. And so when the time for the animal pet contest comes, he wants to bring them all, but you have to pay $10 per entry. And so his friends are like, hey, I don't have a pet. Can I borrow a pet? And so he really has to navigate how he is letting his friends borrow his pets or not, because there's some that he doesn't trust quite as much. And how does he choose which pet, because he can only take one, so how does he choose which one to take? And then we get to see the whole, like, it's kind of like a beauty contest for these animals, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed this. Then last, goodness gracious, I just dropped more books if you can hear it. But last is a series that I just discovered, Bibsy Cross. And so Bibsy Cross and the Bad Apple is the first one. This, I think, came out last year. This is a pretty early chapter book. And in this one, I don't know what grade she's in. I would guess maybe first or second. And her teacher has this like apple tree, and it's like her behavior chart. So if they're bad, she drops the apples to the ground. And like, I just felt so bad for Bibsy, because she is just a curious kid who like can't keep her mouth shut, and so she kept getting in trouble, and she's just like being curious. So I don't know. This one was a little bit underexplained. Like, there were certain things that didn't really make sense, and so this one was kind of like a 3-star for me, but perfectly appropriate for me to pass on. And then the newest one actually just came out, the Bike-a-thon. So her school is having a Bike-a-thon, and to raise money for the local library. And so I really like the bookish element of this. I also wish, like, because this is targeted at a younger audience, like, you know, first grade, something like that, I wish she would have explained, like, what is a Bike-a-thon? What does that mean? Like, what are you trying to earn? How do you earn money? You know, something like that. Like, the author does not really explain any of that. Me as an adult reading it, obviously not a big deal, but as a kid, I don't know. I'm interested to see what my daughter thinks about this, but I actually like this one better because Bibsy loves to bike. We're told she loves to bike. We never really get to see that in either of the books, but we're told she loves to bike, and so this is like, she's super stoked about it. And then the day comes, her best friend's sick, things just kind of fall apart, and she is realizing what's actually important about the day. So it's a good book. I would definitely recommend it. It's just, as an adult, it's just okay. So that's all the middle grade reads. Whew, there were a lot. So now let's get into the adult reads. And this is a little where I'm a little confused about these weekly wrap-up videos, is because almost everything that I read this week was for a purpose, for a vlog that you will see at some point, or you have already seen at some point. And so at the risk of sounding redundant, I'm going to go through these relatively quickly, but I also want, weekly wrap-ups allow me to gush and talk a lot more. So we'll just go through them. Let's just see how it goes. So the first one is formerly Once in a Lifetime. Now this is called Are You My Haley Hart by Claire McCauley. So I actually might have set this down because the author sent me the graphic of the new cover. It's very similar. It's just Are You My Haley Hart. So this is about a couple who meet one day in London, I think. I don't know, Oxford. So they're in Oxford. They meet, and they kind of, their paths just keep crossing that day, but it's her last day in town because she's an American. And so the two meet, they part ways without exchanging numbers, and then he goes on a quest to find her. He sends an email to every Haley Hart he can find, and they have a lot in common. And so he finds her, and they start a virtual relationship, long distance. They're emailing, they're text messaging, they're FaceTiming, and we get to see all those different kind of mixed medias, which I really liked. So then it kind of turns into a story of what can go wrong will go wrong, and that's not my favorite trope. So anyway, they're trying to meet up multiple times. Things keep happening that are coming in their way. But it was cute. I will say it got a little bit slow in the middle. However, I have a very early arc that the author said there's a couple formatting errors, things like that. So maybe things will be a little bit different in the final version. But ending got a little bit redundant. The middle got a little redundant, but the ending was kind of cute. And so overall, it was a good story. I really like this author's first book, The Wedding Hitch, even more. But I like this one too. So there's that. Then we have two books from this Christmas box collection by Richard Paul Evans. So in this one, I read Timepiece and The Letter. I had read the Christmas box, I don't know when, maybe last year or 2 years ago, and I honestly had no recollection of it. And so I didn't reread it, but now I kind of wish I would have. So Timepiece and The Letter. The Christmas box is follows a couple who move into this house with this elderly woman, and they find a box in the attic that has this woman's letters to her 3-year-old daughter. So then in Timepiece, we go back in time to when that woman, the elderly woman, is meeting her husband, having her daughter, that whole story. And then in The Letter, we follow 19 years after Timepiece. I don't want to say a whole lot because these are direct sequels. I will say I would prefer to read these chronologically, and if you want to do that, it's Timepiece, The Letter, then the Christmas box. The way they're in this bind up is the Christmas box, then Timepiece and The Letter, but I kind of liked getting to know the couple then seeing her as an old lady. But I don't know, I like the Christmas box and Timepiece. I both gave 3 stars, and they were very meh. Like I said, didn't really remember. But then I really liked the Letter. I gave it more 3.5, 4 stars. And I think it was because I was becoming endeared to this woman, endeared to this family. They're really short on audio, 4 to 6 hours, I think. So if you're interested in picking one up, I would say The Letter is my favorite, but they're all connected. So there's that. Then we have Tell No One by Harlan Coben. So Harlan Coben is one of those kind of OG, very prolific authors who you either love or you really don't. And I can't decide, honestly. I didn't love this book. So this book is about a man named David Beck. They all call him Beck. And he has lost his wife. So his wife died, I think 8 years ago, and now he is getting a message from somebody, and it has surveillance video of his wife, present day, Fine. So what happened? Did she actually die? Did she not die? This plot gets very, very convoluted and very, very webby, twisty. Everything's interconnected. You get a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different storylines, and you know they're all going to connect. And the way they do is like just a little ridiculous, like for the point of connecting them all. And everybody's keeping secrets. Like the email said, tell no one. But there's a lot of situations where people are telling no one and they're lying and so like everything just gets so convoluted. This actually was like just too much for my brain. But I know I am in the minority. It was a lot for my brain, like I said, and I thought it was just a little contrived. This just wasn't my favorite. It was a really interesting premise, but yeah. Anyway, so there's that. Then we have my favorite book of the week, With Love from London by Sarah Geo. So this is about a mother and a daughter. At the core of this is a mother-daughter relationship. So this woman is, I forget her name already, Valentina, something like that, maybe. Eloise was her mom, which is just such a cute name. Yeah, Valentina. So she gets this letter that her estranged mother has left her a bookshop in London. So she lives in Seattle or somewhere like that. So she goes to London to see what's going on with this bookshop. And her intention is kind of just to sell it, but she's at a decent like stopping point in life where she can make whatever transition she wants. And that part of it is obviously pretty convenient, but she gets pretty wrapped up in the bookstore. And she is learning more and more about her mother. So her mother left when she was 12 years old or something and never came back, and so she's really resentful, really angry of her mother, as she would be. And as she gets like involved in her mother's life, her mother's world in this bookshop, it's just so good. She finds out more about her mother. She also just loves books, and I read this for the Books and Beaches readathon, so I will link that down below for more of my thoughts. But this is my first Sarah Geo, and it will not be my last. Loved it. Then another one I really liked, The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp by Sarah Brunswald. So this is Christian fiction set in Kansas City, where I live. And I didn't know that going in, but this is about Clara Kipp. She is about to be 80, and she is going into hospice care because she has cancer that has taken over her body. And then Aiden Kelly. She's a young reporter for the Kansas City Star, and she is asked to go interview Clara Kipp and kind of start writing her obituary before she dies. And Clara Kipp just wants to be exceptional. She wants Aiden to think of all these exceptional deaths, extraordinary deaths, crazy things to make her life a little more exciting. However, as we get to know Clara and her story and what she's done in life, her life was extraordinary, and her faith in God and her ability to relate to people and her compassion for people is so inspiring. Like I said in the vlog, I want to know a Clara Kipp. I want to be a Clara Kipp. I loved her. She is one of my favorite characters that I've read in a very long time. And just how she changes even Aiden's life in the short time that they know each other is just so good. So this is a really inspiring, really sweet, really heartwarming read that I highly, highly recommend. And then last for this week is another one for Books and Beaches and Books, Run, Rose, Run by Dolly Parton and James Patterson. So this is about a woman who is trying to make it in the music scene. She's had a really rough life. She doesn't have much, she doesn't have money. She doesn't have really anything to her name. And so she goes to Nashville to try to make a name for herself, and this guy ends up seeing her perform, and he's really intrigued. He knows a very famous musician who is voiced by Dolly Parton and written by Dolly Parton, and very similar to Dolly Parton in a lot of ways. And I chose to listen to this on audio. I had been back and forth about what I wanted to do because I love James Patterson's short chapters, but Dolly Parton is also one of the voices that narrates this. And I really liked that experience of listening on audio, though I could see if you don't love Dolly Parton's speaking voice, it can get a little grating. But anyway, it's the story of this woman and her both rise to fame as well as the downsides of things and who she actually is and what her backstory is. And I liked this book. It wasn't my favorite that I read for Beaches and Books. It wasn't my favorite I read this week, but it was a good story and I'm glad I read it. So that is everything that I read this week. It was a lot. I will link down below. I will link the Beaches and Books readathon vlog. That is the only thing that has come out. But some of these other books you will see coming up here in the month, sometime in the month, with all the rest of my thoughts on these books. So that is everything. If you've read any of the books that I read, let me know what you think. If there's any more, specifically Sarah Geo, I am very intrigued by this author now because I've heard nothing but good things and I love this book so much. So if you have any other Sarah Geos that I need to get, please let me know. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.